It's time, old friend. I think the scariest thing about that intro is that many of you won't even recognize the blaster, let alone the ammo type it may shoot. Because while it hasn't been all that long, well, Vortex has been dead for about, 3-4 years now? It came out in like 2011, 2012, and my god was it awesome when it did, because not only did it bring an entire new ammo type, which some people didn't really like because, they want to use their darts and they don't want to have to diversify or anything, but the Vortex ammo had its, very, very apparent advantages, such as the fact that at the time, dart tag and end strike were still kind of a thing, so Vortex actually kind of really, really outperformed them, but then the Elite line came out and then it was just comparable to the Elite line. But Vortex discs are way, way more durable than any foam dart. These things can get stomped on, squished, just about everything, and they survive because they've got the same kind of foam on the outside of them that's very similar to the swords from the Enforce line and stuff like that make it really, really freaking durable with a plastic ring in the middle. And if you can find your ammo most of the time, you can send it back. And, Vortex has been dead for a while. And it's actually getting really hard to find ammo for it. In fact, while there's so many different companies producing foam darts, there's really not a whole lot going on in the realm of these discs. So what I have here are a couple of the discs from LighTake.com who sent me these for review so I can get my hands on them, and that's an excuse for me to bring out some of my Vortex blasters because some of you may know I am a big fan of Vortex, but in space year 2017, it's a little less useful. Now I know what you're thinking. Why the heck should you care about Vortex now? I mean, it's been dead for a reason, right? And yeah, that's kind of the fact. Unless you play indoors, if you play in an indoor arena and you can use Vortex, do it, because Vortex is absolutely crazy indoors. Outside, where many of us play beyond the whole backyard warfare kind of thing, they're way less useful. They are very interrupted by wind, and they don't work all that well for long distance in any capacity because they kind of just sail off always almost to the right, and that doesn't help too much with actually getting tags. I say this because, they do travel very slow as well, but at the same time, Vortex discs are slightly unpredictable, and they're one of the only ammo type, and think the only ammo type, where you can predict the curve of the disc, and you could use that to your advantage to hit targets around objects. Not that they'll most likely call their hits unless they're very, very loyal and admirable, but it is a thing you can do. And you can also bank shots off the ground, and you can bank shots off the corners of walls, and stuff. It's really, really freaking cool. And I just happen to like the blasters so much because the Vortex blasters were mostly internal magazines. There were many removable magazines, but my three favorites are, of course, the Diatron, the Fuse Fire, and the Revonix 360, which is actually my wife's favorite blaster of all time for some unexplainable reason. But that's a lot of talking about the blasters and less talking about the actual discs themselves. So how do these perform compared to the price point? Now, at the moment of me recording this, they're about $19 for 100 of them. That's pretty expensive considering you can almost get 1,000 darts for the same price. However, again, these discs will last you as long as you can find them, which is pretty easy because they're massive, but hard yet because they're green. You'll be fine. You don't have to worry about them getting destroyed or jamming or anything like that. So that can be weighed. You only need like 200 or so discs if you want to do some kind of extreme game with them. And the quality is passable. It's not great gluing issues. Sometimes the whole disc is in the center isn't centered right, which can lead to some issues, but it's Vortex. I mean, you're not meant to really hit anything at long range. And when I say stuff like that, I mean Vortex is absolutely amazing close to mid-range. And I say that almost as if I have no idea what that means, but seriously, Vortex is awesome because these discs, not only are they larger, surface area towards your targets, but they're also somewhat unpredictable with their curving, and that's awesome, especially when you use things like the Diatron, which shoots two of the suckers at once, And yeah, that is awesome. The Diatron, that's the reason why I couldn't really get behind the whole hammer shot. Even though I like the hammer fire mechanism, it really did not do anything for me, and yet the Diatron I can one-hand no problem, and it outranges a stock hammer shot, and it shoots 2 at once, and it has an internal magazine that's really easy to reload. So I kind of felt bad not liking the hammer shot when I actually really love the whole single action cowboy fantasy. But what's the use of these things? Well, I should have waited to do this video a little bit longer because we have a war coming up on the 16th of September, but I really want to be able to run my Vortex blasters in a war. And the only way you could do that is if you're bopping behind cover and countering targets that are close range or moving towards you, because it's really hard to ignore a disc. Now with a heavy angle, they make more of a threat because they stay in the air longer than darts, which means it suppresses a target for longer than it should. And while they can, like, oh, it's just going this way, I'm going to step this way, they have a tendency to curve, although they do have a tendency to always seem to curve to the right just by the way they exit the barrel with their kind of side hop-up kind of thing that gives them the spin. But still, they're really freaking good for that, and Vortex needs to come back. I know it never will. Rival is the replacement for Vortex, but I still have not seen any rival blaster that makes me excited as much as things like the Diatron, the Fuse Fire, and then of course with Onyx 360, the Pyragon. Those are all phenomenal blasters, and that's just a couple of them. Yeah, there were some really, really bad ones too, like the Rip Shot and the Ricochet. Those are horrible. But is it worth picking these up? This is kind of the cheapest I found them. I did look on Amazon as well, and they were okay, and eBay had some pretty competitive prices too, but I've actually bought stuff from LighTake before, so I trust them, if that makes sense, and they work perfectly fine. I haven't had any issues besides the glue on a couple of them, sticking them together, but again, for the purpose of these things as kind of a close to mid-range suppression device, I don't really see a problem with that, and at this point, I think we just better take what we can get, unfortunately. That's kind of the nature of the beast at this point. I'm sure there are actually other manufacturers of these kinds of discs, but LighTake had them, I got them, and I really do like them because now I can finally run Vortex blasters, and yes, I freaking will, because I have been waiting for this day for some time, even though I only have like maybe 200 discs total now, which is a little bit of an issue. I'll have to buy more, but let me know what you think about the Vortex stuff down in the comments section below. Is it something that you're fond of, and is it something you think you can run at your war if you had the ammo for it? I tend to be on the side that if I had maybe another 100 or 200 more discs, I could run exclusively Vortex. But of course, it's kind of iffy. And HVZ moderators and organizers, you need to start making like zombies that can only be taken out by things like Vortex discs. Like maybe if you had like the Hydra zombies where you have like the people tied together with strings and stuff like that, if maybe hitting them with this would free them and remove them and kill them instead of them being able to be used as a shield. That would be awesome. I just really wish there was more of a reason to use these things. I'm Walcom S7, thank you very much for watching this video, and of course I hope to see you in an entirely different one, and considering we go from things like the Caliburn to Vortex discs, it happens to get pretty freaking different around here.